experience, or if anyone has any questions about this experience, you're welcome to ask them now before we get started. Anybody?
No, for some reason, Adrian's not come. I'm admitting him, but it's not working. Maybe it's his internet or something.
Shall we wait a bit for Adrian?
Yeah, just 1 second here. It could be me. Okay, he's in now. So everybody, if you could mute, please, for this, except you, Gordon, of course.
Mm-hmm.
Adrian, you there? If you're there, go ahead and mute yourself. Here, everybody's ready.
Okay, thank you, David.
Mm-hmm.
So if no one has any questions or things they would like to talk about before we get started, we'll just move right on into the meditation. So let us all relax and move away from the cares of the world, society, and let us stop for a few moments, perhaps going over yesterday with regrets or anything like a regret. Let us stop focusing on whatever may have been difficult to cope with yesterday or this morning, and let us not feel any anticipation or nervousness about what might be happening tomorrow. Let us live in this eternal moment, where, of course, we always are, despite the pressures of time and scheduling. We are always in the eternal moment, and that is where we can project from. We can go to the past or the future, or any of the levels of spirit that we may feel an attraction to, or that we may feel our guides are pushing us towards. And let me add that if you feel a contact is what you're going to be experiencing, do not feel that I'm pressuring you to do a retrieval. Obviously, that's what we're learning to do in this ongoing class, but sometimes it's contacts that happen with folk that either don't seem to need a rescue or don't seem to want a rescue. So we can be happy with the contact itself, if that is what seems to be happening. So let us please close your eyes and breathe slowly from a relaxed position, whether you're in a chair or on a couch or anything like that. Please be as relaxed as you can be, and in the position that you feel most comfortable. Let us together move away from our relaxed bodies and allow our energy bodies to move on up, out of the physical body. Let us be at ease with whatever is about to happen. Let us embrace this mysterious unknown. Let us move on up out of our bodies, up through the ceiling of the room that you are in, and through the roof of the dwelling that you are in, whatever type of dwelling it is. Let us move on up through that so we're floating in air. You can look around at the rooftops of the community that you are part of, whether it be big or small. Let yourself be free of that human, physical human that goes from one building to the next as the day progresses. We are creatures of habit, and we do tend to move from building to building. So allow yourself to move toward, as we float around in the free air, to whatever level of spirit you feel either personally attracted to or what your guides may be nudging you towards. And take your nest of contentment with you so that you can shower it upon whomever you might meet on whatever level, whether it be the lowest transitional level, which tends to be misty and indistinct, a bit like twilight, and the levels beyond that, which are progressively lighter and lighter, until you get to the paradise levels, which are radiant with beauty. So allow yourself to be guided or move yourself to where you feel an attraction. And when you get to a person, a place, a group, allow yourself to interact. And I will now leave you there to have your experience. And we will convene again in 15 or so minutes. Good luck to you all. Martin. Oh, do you think people are ready, David?
You got a few that are still,
Okay, that's fine. And
but pretty
everyone
soon I
just
think we can do it.
everyone keep having your experiences. Don't feel rushed or pressured by the sound of my voice. Please take your time.
I think we're in pretty good shape now, Gordon.
Oh, okay then. If people feel like they are ready to return to their bodies, their physical bodies, in their rooms, and shake off the vibrations of whatever contacts and explorations you may have made, you make sure and come back to your body, bring back all your aspects. If there's something that really interested you, you can always return and visit on your own time later. That's always doable. Don't ever think that it's not, because it is. So here we are together in eternity rather, and let us awaken to this physical plane reality and our shared meditation, and begin sharing if we can and wish to. David, would you like to take over?
Sure. And so if anybody's got anything they want to share, you can raise your hand. Okay. No, raise, you know what I mean, don't you, Denise? Go down to the thing. I'm gonna go first because last week or last time we met, I had one, but I held back because there was a lot of being the moderator. I wanted everybody to get a chance. So this is from the last time that we did it. I can't tell you why it works this way for me about this dream. I have a dream first, and I see an actual. I actually see some kind of a death, and they showed to me. I think I just haven't. I just think it's the person that's stuck. They're the ones that are sending me the dream, and it's been happening for about a year. And then so I get the dream, which I'm going to tell you about in a second. And then I later on, sometimes when we're doing this, but I'm the coordinator here, so I'm really not meditating that much because people come in at different times and I've got to admit them. And if I shut my eyes, I don't see it. but I do my own meditation before I come here, and it usually works. I get something by taking a nature walk, or I'm a watercolor painter, and so I do that and get into my vibration that way. And or also, besides the walk, when I'm home here at my house, I'll do automatic writing, and I'll get it that way too. And so it's just my way of raising my vibration that I found that just works. So I always have a dream. I'm going to tell you the dream. I wrote this down the day that I had it. Dana, who's my wife, was with me, and we parked our car on a hill. And the ones I'm telling you about, these are retrievals that I did. We looked down in what appeared to be a small quarry. It wasn't very big. It was about the size of a house lot, but it was a big hole on the ground. There were about 20 men of European or Mexican descent. They looked busy. A man was buried up to his neck in the ground. His head was sticking out, but he was buried. He didn't appear to be, he appeared to be happy and talking to the other people that were down there. They're all men. I looked again, then I looked back again, and there was no man buried anymore. And all the men were leaving. Something illegal was happening there. That's the feeling that I got. Okay, so then that's the dream I got. And then later on that day, I went out and took a walk, and which is my meditation to raise my vibration. And here's what I found out: that the group of men were from Russia, and they were living in the United States in a Russian community. And they were like the Russian mafia, kind of like they were the bullies in this community. But the community put up with them. They were scared of these people. The man that I'm helping, he was not in this at all. He was totally innocent. But apparently the group, and he knew these people. That's why he's smiling. He thought it was some kind of a joke what they had done to him, and he was smiling and laughing and stuff. But it didn't turn out to be that way. He was not in the mafia with them. I'm not sure what he did, but he was married, and he had like a middle class type job. His parents migrated there, and his father fixed shoes, broken shoes. He was good at that, a trade that he'd learned when he was in Russia. Okay, so what else did I learn from him? Well, I'm not going to go over what the death was, but you can just kind of imagine it yourself. It was a very tragic, gruesome type death. And it was so traumatic that some of these souls, they can't cross over right away. They need to rehabilitate in afterlife hospitals, which I've talked about, and that's what he was doing. It took a long time for him to do that. Let's see what other notes I have here about that, because it's been a couple of weeks. Okay. Why was he stuck there? Because I told you, he tells me that the whole experience was gruesome and traumatic. First, he had to sleep and rest for a long period of time. Then he needed a lot of consoling by a spirit guide and a special team of spirit therapists to help him understand what happened to him and what a bright future that lied ahead once he completes the crossover, and how much better it will be from this last incarnation. And so when they see me, I told the group before that I work with another person with this other guy's a priest. I've been working with him for quite a long time. And he does what I'm telling you right now. And I just talk to the spirit when we're all together. And when they come to, they're sent to us. They're all vetted. They all been rehabbed, and we just kind of like we're the last step in their crossing over, and we kind of like, give them the final push. So that's how it's kind of working this way too. This guy was sent to me. He's ready to go. And here's what I wrote down. The guide and the spirit are now here, and they're telling me that they are all set to go. And this is earlier when I heard this, and off they went. So that was the way it worked for me. And then we'll get other people's things. I have one more that happened that I want to tell at the end, because Adrian's going to be interested in this one when he hears what I have to say about this. Okay, Denise, unmute yourself and you can go ahead.
I want to share this because Spirit wanted me to share. It's kind of a message for all of us when I get to the end of my story. But to give you a backstory, when I first jumped on, I think I mentioned that I had just come from the ocean. David asked how far I was. And, and I kind of talked about the elements, right? Okay. So then we break into our meditation. And, I get above the house and, in your community. And, I was immediately shown, I'm on an island. I live in a duplex, and it's called Coquina Island. I'm surrounded by water. So they show me that. And then they show me, the ocean. And then I'm like, okay, where are we going with that? Then next thing you know, the thoughts in my mind were drawn to the hurricanes that had just come here. Well, we had three. We had Debbie, Helene, and Milton, but only Helene, those affected Florida, all three of those, but Helene affected North Carolina, whatever have you. Okay. So then next thing you know they get me in the water, and I'm like, okay, we're doing soul retrievals, and, and I know they've brought to me to the lost souls of the seas, right? So then we get into the whole hurricane, and the water starts rising. The water starts rising. And then immediately, because my teachers are in, they bring in teaching stuff to me. And when you think about it, so the water level, the air comes in, and then the water level rises, and it's like engulfs some of these towns. And it's taken many lives. So see, I'm getting the goosebumps as I say it. So it's like, oh, okay, I get where. So it wasn't like a singular. It was a community thing, and more because I'm a Reiki master. They wanted me to send like healing to them, because, they're elementals. And just as, the air can come in and we've got a hurricane and the water levels will rise and it will take the lives of all these souls, and then they showed me, the air, then the elementals will come in, the air comes in, and it's spirits a way to communicate with you, because they'll blow a balloon your way. You may say that morning, send me a balloon, send me a message of a balloon, and then a balloon comes in. And then, but I find it synchronicity that they brought in a balloon, because today when I was at the beach, my son was with me. He said something to me that made me open my eyes and look up. And when I did, a balloon was passing over. You know what I mean? So just as, so there's positives and negatives to everything. And it's like I was communicating with the elementals, and I got really sad, and that, that they don't like, they don't like hurricanes, because hurricanes take lives, and that there's just, that to send healing to that, and that, you know what I mean, and that the elementals, it's not just about our physical bodies here on Earth that need saving. You know what I mean? It's other things, and it was pretty fantastical. You know what I mean? What they were showing me in the lesson they were bringing through, and it just really, it deepened me on a deeper level of, yeah, I love water and I love going to the ocean, but yet then there's hurricanes and the water rises, it takes over a town, and So there's positive and negative there, and they don't like hurricanes, you know what I mean, and fires and all and all of that. So like I said, I got pretty emotional about it because I just was thinking of all the lives that were lost in the hurricane. You know what I mean? So it was more of a communal thing. So maybe Gordon can make sense of that. We'll see what he has to say. But I thought it was really, really, and I did. And then I sent Reiki to the air, and you know what I mean, to water, and to all of the elements, and it just it was beautiful. Yeah. So thank you for that.
Well, thank you for that. That was I was quite intrigued with that. It I hadn't seen or heard of the pain that the elementals felt at the destruction before. There's been a few accounts in books by clairvoyants of storms, and the impression I got from those or that the elementals felt that they were playing a part in the storm that they had been, trained to do, that they couldn't resist the force of either the wind or the rain, or in case of fire. And their feelings of discomfort or pain had not been touched on in the accounts I read. So I was quite fascinated to hear your account of that. So So I thank you for that. It expands my understanding.
Right, and it expanded mine because as you're talking, I'm getting the, you know what I mean? I'm getting the goosebumps, and they really wanted me to push this and give this, because just in saying it was like giving acknowledgement to it, and it so logically makes sense. It does so logically make sense. And when something fits, you know what I mean, and that's me. It's like a knowing comes in, and if it logically makes sense, then I just, absolutely. And I still, as we're talking, I still feel like I almost could cry. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Because there's tragedy there. PTSD, call it. You know what I mean? And so that was very, very interesting. And I learned a lot from that and really enjoyed it. So I'm glad you thought. I'm glad it hit with you too, Gordon. Yeah.
It presented a whole other angle to what elementals experience and feel about their experience in great storm situations. Like I say, there's not in the literature, there's not a lot of accounts of that. I quoted the ones that I knew of in my memoir, and there's only 3 or 4, and that I could find, and hopefully with people like you being sensitive to this, we'll get more, and we'll understand a greater depth of what's going on and what they're experiencing.
Yeah, I agree. So it's very cool. Very cool.
Thank you, Denise. Thank you.
Anybody, doesn't matter how short it is. Just go ahead if anybody's got something else. Everything's fine here at this place. Whatever you have to share. Okay, Eric, unmute. That's it.
It was not a retrieval, but then again, when I closed my eyes, immediately a Pleiadian came and passed by quickly, and he said about the last 24 hours, it is not a mistake, but we are on it. Then he went out again. Next, let me think. I was on in the afterlife, and again, as last time, there is a Brian coming forward, and he's a young man in his 20s. And he said, "Okay, I'm the coordinator of what you're going to do in the future." But it doesn't give me any details. He said, "Okay, you know when you're ready and when we're ready." Okay. Then next, I found a young woman in a carriage, and I was thinking, what is she doing in a carriage? And I said, "How old is that carriage?" And then I got it from the 18th century. And then I was looking into that carriage and said, "This is not correct." So that it doesn't add up because she doesn't seem to be in the need of a retrieval. And I said, "How do you even get a retrieval from a carriage? How do you die there and get stuck there?" So it doesn't add up. Then I looked around. There were no horses. There was no driver. I said, "No, okay, no. This is wrong." And then I approached her and I said, "What's happening here?" And then she said, "Yeah, I tricked you." I said, "Okay, why?" I said, "I'm your seven-dimensional self, but you wanted to be a retrieval, so I make it a retrieval." I said, "Okay, sorry." I said, "We need to have a chat." And I said, "Okay, let's chat." And then I clicked out. My consciousness was gone, so I fell asleep, probably. Then I opened my eyes, I looked at the clock, and we were half an hour later, and said, "Okay, okay." But I know we had a chat, but not of the content. And he said, "Okay, you get there." And then I heard Gordon's voice, and then quickly my mother passed by, and my grandmother passed by, and that was it.
That's
Well,
great.
that's
Great that you saw your mother and grandmother.
Yeah.
yes. Thank you, Eric. Can I ask, could you go over again your first contact? You said a Palladian came by quickly and said the last 24 hours are not
About
a
the
mistake.
elections in the US, he
Yes.
said it's not a mistake. So what's your question?
So, and then you said, but we're working on it. The
Yeah,
Palladians are working on it.
the Pleiadians are working on it. Yeah.
I see. Okay, I just wanted to clarify what you said. I was
Yeah.
intrigued that he would come by and give that message. It's interesting to me. Thank you.
Yeah. Okay.
Very good, Eric. Thank you.
Thank you.
Larice, unmute, and you're next.
Okay. I when I first went out, I kind of, I bilocate. I don't feel like all of me goes, but I got into this current that was, carrying me somewhere. I didn't feel like I had anything to do with it. And there was somebody with me right next to me, and I think it was my guide. They wanted to make sure I actually got here where we were going to land. And then I just landed, on a city street someplace, and there were like 6 people in this little knot, in this little tightly, knit group, and they were all like arguing and squabbling together about something. So I went over there and I started talking to them and just asking them questions about, what kind of situation they were in, who they were, blah, blah, blah. And all of them had passed from COVID, and all of them had passed in 2020. And they were all bound up in election stuff. But they were mixed up. Like they didn't know if it was that election before they just, that happened just after they passed, or if it was this one. Like they were they just didn't get anything, because they think they see things and then they aren't sure. And then they kind of create like mirages to go with it. It was really kind of chaotic. And they were not in agreement about who the winner should be or who the winner was, because they weren't even sure what they were looking at. And so I started talking to them about the situation they were in. And I said, you guys are not in your physical bodies anymore. And of course, I got a lot of pushback from that. And but a few of them, started listening to me, and I told them how they could tell if they really wanted to know. And some of them had noticed some of those things, like not being able to talk to other people other than their own group, and not being able to manipulate physical stuff. Different, and maybe some of them might have noticed that they hadn't eaten for a long time and they'd just been too busy and they didn't care and things like that. So I was getting more and more of them were kind of accepting that they probably were not in their physical bodies anymore, but they were really, 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 really focused on election stuff. And they just didn't want to tune away from that. And so I asked, the next question I asked was, what else do you guys like to do? Like, surely there's something else in your life somewhere. What else do you guys like to do? And the ones that were willing to think about that was this married couple that was among the group. There were like 6 of them, and there was a couple in the group, and they started talking about like she was a gardener and he liked to fish, and they had sort of a pastoral life that they really enjoyed together. And I asked them, did they have any children? They said no, but we wanted to. We want to, just hadn't got there yet. And so I said that I would be able to take them to a place where they could have another life and they could be happy and continue on kind of where they left off, but they couldn't do that here because they weren't in their body anymore. And I was still getting arguments about that from some of the other people, and then one other person said they might like to leave this situation and go somewhere else. So I had 3 out of the 6 of them. And then the others were saying they were not going to come and they were just going to stay and they were just going to keep working on this. And like, how could you desert us and this kind of stuff? And so so we started to move off. And we just said, we wish you the best. And you're still welcome to come with us if you want to, but we're leaving. And so very, slowly, the other ones that were left, except for one, two of them decided to come with us. And later on, I may go back and see what the other one's up to because his whole group left. So the first place we stopped, and at this point, I was getting a little bit of direction from my guide too, because I said, I don't want to do this all by myself. It's really chaotic and complicated. So the first place we went to was, it was kind of a simulated or set up, campaign and voting situation in, it was one of the lower levels of the astral. It wasn't, probably wasn't the highest one. It was, and there were beings around and they were saying like, could you please help us with our campaign? We really need help. Or somebody was saying, could you come and help us get voters signed up and all this kind of stuff. Well, these people were fine with that. They were like, yeah, we're going to do this. And they just kind of broke off and went with these other people. And then so we continued upward and we went to what you would consider the Summerland, where, the park, where it was, pastoral and beautiful. And this couple was with me and one other person. And they were, a few people came to greet them, relatives, older relatives they had had in their life who had already passed on. And they were really kind of relieved to have broken out of that, what they had gotten stuck in. And they were happy to be where I had taken them. They went off with their relatives really easily, really quick. And so that was it.
Well, thanks for that. That was pretty
Fascinating.
interesting. Quite a complex set of experiences you had there, Louise.
Yeah, I was kind of overwhelmed at times.
So there are people, spirits in some of the levels that are play acting a sort of their own election activities.
Yes, that was what we first came into. They did it for the sake of the ones that are coming in that can't let go of that.
Right. I see. Oh, I see what you're getting at. Right. Okay, cool.
You see what I mean? Like they set it up for those people so that they could draw them in, and then, it's kind of their responsibility to sort of wean them off of. I don't know how they're going to do it or anything. I was just glad that they did that. They made that simulation for these people.
I see. Right. Thank you. I didn't quite get that, but I get it now. And that first group that you met, you said they've been around, you think, since about 2020 when they passed from COVID.
That's what they said. And this was the same group, but I mean, it was my first encounter with them.
Yes. And they had been in that sort of transitional level, neither physical nor
just
astral.
earthbound, but not physical. And they were stuck in it because they were wrangling with each other, and they were arguing, and they were trying to make things happen that they couldn't because they weren't physical anymore. It was kind of a chaotic mess.
Yes. Well, I congratulate you for getting through all of that. That must have been quite a challenge.
It was. Yes.
It shows me that you're pretty sophisticated, or you're getting pretty sophisticated in your understanding of the various levels and the various options that are there.
I did have a little bit of help in this with this one at various times. Yeah, a bit of help.
Okay, good. Well, fascinating, and thank you.
Sure.
Eric, would you like to unmute, please?
Yeah, sorry, I forgot one. This was very quick. Between the Brian and the carriage, there was also, I saw a young boy who lost his mother, I thought. And then I said, who did you lose? And then he answered again, no, it's the other way around. I'm looking for a mother. I'm not from Earth. I've never been on Earth. I've visited Earth in another dimension, and I want to come down to Earth. But I'm now looking for a mother who is capable of having me. That's it.
I see. Thank you. A soul looking for a womb to incarnate into.
Yeah.
I see. I'm sure that he could get help with that, but maybe he's not accepting help, or he doesn't know help's available.
It's more or less, is it the right time to come down? It's not a problem of itself. It's more like, is Earth ready for me?
I see. And did you give him any advice on that particular matter?
And I had that talk with other. I'm into that subject, so that's why he's elaborating on that. And I want to, what I call is prenatal communication for newborns to get more consciousness coming down instead of unconscious. And then he said, or agree, all right, that's not from now, I'm overlapping, is there are now newborns that want to come down with a pre-program, so to speak.
Yes, I understand. Thank you.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Now, before Denise, Larice, were you finished with what you were saying?
Yes, I was. Thanks.
Okay. Okay, Denise.
I just want to let me lower my hand. I just want to give a quick update because I'm pretty excited. It ended up being a singular retrieval, Gordon, because as you know, right after we get done and we're talking, and I forget who the next person is, all of a sudden I felt like, well, I saw, it was a male energy. It was a male body, floating in water. It felt like they had drowned. And I was like, what's going on? I was like, oh, you know what I mean? And I started getting very, emotional with this person. I felt like a connection, you know what I mean?
Mm.
And there was a light under the water. There was a light, you know what I mean? Whatever, like a flashlight or something in the water.
Yes.
And, so when I realized what was going on and I got emotional and felt the emotional connection to this person, they said, thank you. And I thought in my head, I don't know what to say other than go into the light. And then they said, thank you again. But as they said, thank you, it kind of faded and the person kind of dissipated and the emotions that I was having dissipated with that. And it all happened pretty, maybe only within 30 seconds or a minute or something like that. It happened pretty quickly after we talked. So I thought that was, so I don't have a name or anything like that. This, it was somebody I believe drowned in Helene. It felt like North Carolina.
Yes.
Appalachian Mountains. I'm getting, and as I say it, I'm getting the goosebumps. So it's some male from the Appalachian Mountains or something. So that was cool.
That was very
Great.
fast, but that's how they go sometimes.
Yeah.
Mhm. Very nice. Okay, Adrian, did you want to say anything?
Okay, so I don't feel like I'm leaving my body. I'm kind of bilocating, like I'm here and there at the same time. So first, as my field of view opened up, I saw a certain hairy creature, but I told him that I'm not here for you now. I'm here to do retrievals. So I appreciate you coming, but I'm going for a retrieval now. Okay, and then the first person I met, I think it was a man, and he had some sort of head clothing, like a nun, but like maybe an Arab scarf.
Mhm.
So I felt like I need to say Inshallah, and it got to him. So he heard that, understood it, and I asked him, "What's wrong? How is there any problem?" And he saw an injury, like his left hand or shoulder was injured. So I saw an opportunity there. I saw that I brought with myself a medic. So I said, he will come in right now. Please come in. He came in, and I wanted them to make contact, and they did. But this guy didn't want to let me go just because this medic guide came in. He pretended to be a medic. This guy still wanted me to be there as well. So we all went together, and so we went quickly to some kind of hospital kind of setting. I think they pretended, to cater to his state or his beliefs, and he still wanted me to stay there. But as I told him, I would like to stay, but I need to go now. I didn't, I didn't want to stay there. So I told him that he's in good hands, and then left. So, but I felt that he was indeed in good hands there.
Mhm.
So then I
Okay.
did another one.
Mhm.
I think it was a man on a boat or in the desert. I'm not sure which one, because it was like these small waves and wind. He was stranded there. So I'm not sure if it was a boat or a desert, but he was there alone, and I tried to talk him as well. Yeah, what's the trouble with him? And he was telling me something, but I couldn't quite understand. I think he died of exposure, like maybe hunger or thirst,
Mm.
and he. So I so that I won't get anywhere with him, simply because I just cannot understand what he's saying.
Mhm.
And then so I just called a guide. So I introduced him that someone will come to help you. And this time I thought it was a female guide. And I think it was maybe it was a boat, because they pretended like some rescue vehicle came, like, so before it he was stranded, and they came with some sort of rescue vehicle, and I think it was a boat,
Mhm.
and then they took him away.
Mm.
So then I didn't follow him. So then I asked a guy to come forward, and someone came. Again, I couldn't see him clearly, but I could sense that he's there. So I told him, I know you are here, but I can't really see you. I cannot hear you. So let's just have a walk and pretend like we're having a conversation. And we did that. I think we were walking in a nature setting. And then I thought maybe we could do what we did the last time when I got more vision. So I gathered, I asked him if she can provide me with this sacred fire, like last time, where I can put all my energetic gunk. And he agreed. And so I did this, and it felt good. I started today in a good state, so it wasn't that much stuff this time. And then it was over. And in the beginning, it was a Sasquatch. Sometime, sometimes
Yes.
I talk with them in meditation, but this time it was for retrieval.
Oh, I see. That's why he showed up, because you've interacted with him before.
Yeah.
I see.
Adrian,
Well,
are you having any of this retrieval work outside of the Zoom that we're doing now, like during the week? Is there other retrievals that you're doing?
No, I do have a spiritual practice, and I just cannot do like different kind. So maybe, but I'm thinking of switching and doing this for a while. And so yeah, I wanted to ask that sometimes I have these spontaneous lucid dreams, and I had one recently. And do you think that I can use this lucid dream state as a launching pad for retrieval?
yes, sure.
And how would you go about it? So let's say I'm realizing this is a dream. I'm making it vivid
Mhm.
by with my tricks. So now I'm there with that environment. So how do I go from there?
Well, if you're in a lucid dream and you know that you're in one consciously,
Yeah.
can either express an intention from that point to do a retrieval, or you can ask a guide to step forward and assist you and guide you toward a retrieval.
I see. Okay, I will try it next time.
Okay, well, good. I mean, you seem to be pretty successful in doing the retrievals within this group, so I suspect you will be with the lucid dream too.
Yeah, with the lucid dream, maybe I will have, more sight or, more visual ability than
Right,
this.
right. Okay, well, if that's what you desire, then I would certainly encourage you to go for it. It's certainly possible and doable.
Okay, I will try and let you know.
Thank you. Thank you, Adrian.
Thank you.
Gordon, why don't you go next?
Well, my energy was a little unfocused today, and I had trouble focusing on this man who seemed to be on the floor of his house or condo. I think he died, stroke, heart attack, was just lying there on the floor. I don't think he'd been dead that long. But and I tried putting energy into him from my third chakra. That sometimes works. It's sort of the life force energy, and eventually it was like somebody that was asleep or in a coma. He was dead, but it looked like that. And eventually he seemed to come out of his body in a bit of a dopey state in response to this third chakra energy I was projecting at him, and didn't quite see me at first, and looking around the room and seemed just dumbfounded. And then he saw me and he said, "Who are you?" And I said, I've come to help you. I said, "My name's Gordon and I've come to help you." And he didn't really see. He said, "Why did you wake me up? I was sleeping fine, thanks." So obviously he thought he was sleeping, and I debated a little bit with him, and didn't seem to get anywhere. And I said, "Okay, well, you go back to sleep and enjoy the rest of your sleep, and I'll talk to you later." And with that, he just sort of slipped back into his body and was on the floor, if I'm not mistaken, not on a bed, on the floor. He'd collapsed on the floor. And so I came back and checked in on you guys to see how you were doing energetically. And then, after 5 minutes went by, I went back to this fellow on the floor and pretty much did the same thing again. And he came out of his body and he said, "Oh, it's you again." And he said, "What do you want?" And I said, "I want to take you to a better place. Why don't you let me take you to a better place?" And he, for some reason, maybe because it was the second time around, I don't think he really believed me, but I think he thought, well, if I just do what this guy asks, he'll just get out of my dream, He was pretty sure I was a figment of his dream. And he thought, well, this is an odd dream, but I'll just go with it. And so I got his hand and I took him up to a reception level, and there was, it was beautiful and radiant. He noticed there was a lot of light there, and it seemed to me family members came over and he sort of recognized them, still thinking that they were in a dream and they were part of his dream. And he went off with them. And then I came back to, ground zero, as it were, and assumed that I had done the right thing. But I tell you, he was so dopey with sleep when he came out of his body and so convinced that he was dreaming that I just had to play along with that. I couldn't really go much farther, but I think it sort of succeeded in the long run. And so that was my experience for today. Is there anyone else, David, or can I go on a little bit?
No, you go ahead. I told everybody that I'm going to have another one, but I'm holding off on that because there's been a lot of experiences that have happened, and I'm just going to wait. The only thing I want to say for Adrian here, because he's probably been wondering.
Oh, yes, right.
Yeah, I'll say that quickly that this next one I had was a suicide, Adrian, and there was a group of other suiciders that were dead, but they were helpers on the other side, and they were helping this guy, and the woman that hung herself that you talked about was one of them.
Oh.
Yeah.
Nice. So she joined the rescue team.
She helped out. Yeah, she's going to be a helper. So I'll tell more of it next time.
Good.
Okay, Gordon, go ahead.
I just wanted to tell a quick thing that you mentioned he was dreaming. So in my lucid dream recently, it happened for the first time. So I was just dreaming, and someone told me that this is just a dream, and that's how I realized this is a dream and became lucid.
Mm-hmm.
And that was the first time that someone told me that.
Yes. So yeah, they were trying to wake you up into the dream and show you that you could use it.
And I think it might be related to this retrieval practice. Like they noticed that I'm doing this, and so maybe they helped a bit.
Yes, I think so. They'll use any little trick or excuse that they think will work. They'll try anything, guides. Really will. I just wanted to say, since I last saw you guys, and David knows about this, I channeled the spirit of the musician Phil Lesh, who was famous with his work for the Grateful Dead. He died as an old man. I don't know, he's 80, 81 or something.
Yeah.
And I just felt his presence and I channeled him. And so if you go to my Word of God YouTube thing, you'll notice that there are Phil Lesh Part 1, Part 2, and the audio in those is so distorted, you will not be able to hear much. So I would advise you, I took the text from the first two and I had to listen to my own distorted voice, which took ages. My goodness, it took forever one day to hear what I was actually saying. And typed it into a couple of sheets and read it in another one. So if you're interested in that, make sure you listen to the one Phil Lesh re-upload, because that's the one that's got the clear sound. The others will just drive you crazy. So just so you know, there's a little thing there. And also I wanted to mention, I'll get into this maybe in our next class a little more. In the time period when I was getting together the manuscripts and, telling you guys, I'm putting together this little book on retrievals, and some of our experiences together are in it, and then getting it up on Amazon and designing the cover and getting it online and making a publication date. It all takes a while. I discovered at least 1, 2, 4 other books new books that have come out in the last couple of months on deal with projections and to some degree retrievals. So I just wanted to let you know that, because it just seems to me, and not because of what we're doing, although we're part of it. These people have been obviously doing this stuff for years. The one book I'm reading by a chap called Vincent Field, he's quoting his experiences going back as far as, 2012. And he obviously was using hemisync and different things. But it's interesting to me that just as I was putting together my own little book on retrievals, at least 4 others sort of appeared on Amazon quite recently doing much of the same thing. So the next time we talk, I'll have had time I've got one of the books, the Vincent Field book, but I don't have the others yet. And but I will by then. I'll have a chance to have a look at them. It's just, it interests me that all this would just sort of appear in a very short period of time.
Does anybody else have any comments they want to make today? Because
maybe it was time for this type of phenomenon to become more mainstream. Yeah,
I think so, Adrian. It's quite remarkable to me. Like I say, I haven't had time. You can go on Amazon and look at these people's books and you can read the first, 20 pages or whatever, and they all look interesting and good. But, as I say, I've only purchased one of them, and I need to have the look at them in more detail before I can, speak confidently about them. I've been in contact. One of the authors, a chap from France, has communicated with me a little bit by email, but I have to, make more contact with these people, and then I'll, make a little report on it for you guys.
I read the first chapter of your book on Amazon. It was really interesting.
Oh, good. Thank you. I'm glad you'll find it useful. I think you will.
So we're going to meet in 2 weeks on Wednesday. It's November 20th, same time. And hope to see everybody there. And thanks for everybody sharing with their experiences and everything. And I think we'll just end it now. So everybody take care.
Thank you, Gordon and David.